What is our moon? Where did it come from? Why is it rusting? In 1965, author Isaac Asimov observed, quote, "What makes a total eclipse so remarkable is the sheer astronomical accident that the moon fits so snugly over the sun. The moon is just large enough to cover the sun completely, so that a temporary night falls and the stars spring out. The sun's greater distance makes up for its greater size, and the result is that the moon and the sun appear to be equal in size. There is no astronomical reason why the moon and sun should fit so well. It is the sheerest of coincidence, and only the Earth among all the planets is blessed in this fashion." End quote. Between 1969 and 1977, Apollo installed seismometers upon the moon's surface in an attempt to understand its makeup. They would subsequently record moonquakes and describe the moon as ringing like a bell, particularly during shallow quakes, as if something within its core were making a hollow metallic-like surface vibrate in such a way as to ring. Thus, on November 20, 1969, Apollo would deliberately crash its lunar module ascent stage into the moon's surface in an attempt to record the reaction, and the moon would ring for almost an hour. Could our own ancient satellite have a tail reminiscent of the story of Noah attached to its origin? Over the past several decades, a number of individuals began to notice and indeed measure a strange activity going on upon the surface of our moon, one that, as the years go by, is becoming more and more obvious. The moon has begun to rust, and apparently nobody knows why. One of the baffling things regarding the rust is the apparent lack of oxygen upon its surface, making the process itself a complete mystery. That is, of course, if the moon itself is not indeed hollow, with remnants of, or indeed a still intact internal atmosphere, one that could be causing it to rust from the inside out, with it only now becoming visible to us on Earth. The worst affected areas are currently its poles, and as the years go on, the rust is only getting worse. Could the true origin and original purpose of the moon finally be unraveling before our eyes? Is it indeed hollow, once made entirely of metal? If so, what could it be? A possible ancient alien ark? One which served its purpose and is now slowly disintegrating? We find such possibilities highly compelling. Ancient OOPArts. A section of ancient history which many find as their preference. It is undeniably one of the strongest areas of argument within the study of antiquities, which is in support of the past existence of once highly capable, incredibly technologically advanced, yet now lost ancient civilizations. The ancient astronaut theory being one main topic of interest within the OOPArts realm. When it comes to certain current or now past allies, in alliance with our so often reiterated posit of the existence and the volumes of surviving evidence in support of a now lost, often also claimed, now actively hidden, enormous number of chapters of human history. It is thanks to their laborious collaborative efforts which has allowed us to accomplish such a strong and compelling evidence. In addition, the realization that much of these sites and anomalous features also display a strong evidential suggestion that many of these civilizations somehow succumbed suddenly, possibly to a past cataclysm. However, if this vast and still growing file of evidence, all suggesting sudden demise, is, in the future, somehow found to have been an undeniable reality, possibly a repeated event, a question arises: who could these claimed ancient astronauts possibly have been? The evidence suggesting sudden halts in undertaking within countless elaborately created, by clearly highly resourced people, megalithic quarries, which were inexplicably abandoned, litter our planet. This may suggest that these OOPArts are either of returning, unfortunate witnesses to this cataclysm, somehow returning many generations later, successfully making contact with a civilization raised from the ashes of their now forgotten world, somehow surviving all this time in an ancient spacecraft, possibly better, possibly similar to our own modern space stations, absent long enough to be depicted by a people presumably astonished by their existence. Secondly, they could quite possibly depict ancient alien visitors to our planet, either once deliberately making contact or once crashing here, forcing these entities to make contact, thus witnessed. Yet, if true, their likeness to Earthlings is a controversial consequence to said history. Or are all somehow a mere coincidence? One or two hoaxes, we feel, is a real reality, but for all these magnificent, enigmatic, and often clear depictions of similarly looking individuals all being hoaxes? Yet so far separated geographically, we find unlikely. One must keep this in mind when studying such artifacts, such as the Istanbul rocket, the claimed ancient space module which became one of the most popular artifacts of the Istanbul Archaeological Museum. Sought after by Western scientists and media alike, pored over and written about in hundreds of articles across Europe, even featuring on television programs and within many newspaper articles. However, what is fascinating about this reality that for many years, many specialists, often talented people, also just as often funded to presumably determine an inaccuracy in the object's claimed age, did not. Not until a few years ago, that is. In the last few years, it has been that the Istanbul rocket was apparently found to have been a hoax, a plaster cast made some 25 years ago, a puzzling claim when one remembers that just 5 years after, the space module was sought after by German and English, among many other national archaeologists, and was, for a long time, secured in the preservation unit of the museum. Was this really a plaster cast, a mere 5 years old when this discovery was announced, successfully fooling the world's scientific communities? Or was it like so many other artifacts we study, successfully stolen, then replaced with a clear fake? We will leave that up to you to decide from the evidence available. But an argument for found crash craft can also be seen in the inspiration for the creation of things, like that of the lid of Pakal's tomb. An enigmatic depiction of this same form of technology, again, turns up all over South America, and even further afield. The Kiev spaceman, yet another found far away in the remote, desolate landscapes of Ukraine. Clearly, a depiction of a gas-breathing, humanoid-shaped being, depicted with seemingly no injuries, yet the reason for said depiction is an ongoing debate, yet due to its clear characteristics, a welcome member of this long list of ancient OOPArts. Ancient astronauts? Or merely an extremely elaborate, highly complex, hard-worked, long-lived hoax? We find the evidence to support the theory highly compelling. What did the Apollo 10 astronauts experience on their legendary transit far beyond Earth contact as they ventured around the dark side of the Moon? Our often illuminated satellite is, to our perspective here on Earth, seemingly rotating on a fixed axis, thus only one side of the Moon has ever been seen from Earth. Additionally, although known as the dark side, it does indeed receive sunlight. In May 1969, Apollo 10 was the fourth manned mission in the United States Apollo program. It was a real-world or real space operational training mission, an in-depth research and preparation rehearsal in planning of the eventual moon landing, successfully testing componentry, procedural drills, along with several contingencies for if something went wrong. The mission was completely successful, doing all short of an actual lunar landing. What we find the most enigmatic part of the mission, however, the audio transcripts of what even the astronauts termed alien music was heard by all aboard as they lost contact with Houston as they went behind the moon.
That is music even sounds outer spacey, doesn't it? Do you hear that? That whistling sound?
That's what we're talking about, those screams from some alien aspect.
Supporting the theory of an alien transmission are recent discoveries of pulses leaving our planet from several locations, such as Antarctica, Bosnia, Peru, etc. The perplexing purpose for false doors and so forth. Furthermore, due to the sheer mass of rock that would be between the Earth and the far side, if the Moon is receiving any directed transmissions, it's stationing strategically perfect to not only observe us, but avoid detection. The other cause for the music, a personal hypothesis, is that instead of the static we receive upon our television, residually from the Big Bang, outer of space, especially away from our own statically generating planet, this noise could, we believe, indeed sound like an eerie melody. Additionally, due to redshift and the Doppler effect, sound would warp through vast space-time travel, even from our closest neighbor, Proxima Centauri. Yet indeed, if of intelligent and extraterrestrial origin, it would be received as pulse of sound, having moments of silence distorted from interstellar travel. However, who knows what advanced technological composition could be possible? The truth is out there, or maybe it's here already. Although many of our viewers express a belief that all ancient ruins were constructed by our ancestors with methods learned over eons of trial and error, some also devoutly attest to them eventually succumbing to a biblically documented deluge. The fact remains, at this current time in history, we cannot prove this beyond doubt. As a collaboration who actively researches and seeks out these specific ruins in question, we have come into contact with considerable evidence to support many of these ruins having once been submerged, either by fresh or, more often than not, an ancient sea. However, due to their possible extraordinary antiquity, these subversive experiences may have been merely due to climactic changes, rather than divine intervention. There is also growing hostility towards the once popularly touted proposition of ancient aliens, or perhaps ancient astronauts. Many governmental bodies have supposedly come clean over recent years regarding alien disclosure, releasing a number of apparent smoking guns to the public, often videos which included military testimonies regarding said encounters. Is it therefore such an absurdity to merely postulate that, based on currently presented information, that an alien civilization, clearly far more advanced than us, is currently observing our planet and species? Perhaps we once knew these beings, before something clearly happened within our past, something which made us forget a considerable amount of our own history. Many of the ancient structures found upon our planet defy belief or explanation. Is it so unforgivable to ponder whether our ancestors received an intellectual nudge at some point within antiquity? There are also many ancient tribes whose ancestral accounts often include some sort of visitation, with some, like the Dogons, celebrating the precessions of the Sirius star system, precessions we didn't confirm as accurate until earlier this century. And the Scythians could be seen as the most valuable of these tribes, mainly due to a mysterious idol, once found frozen within one of their ancient tombs, sunk deep into permafrost among the Altai mountains of Serbia. It is known as the Scythian spaceman, and for good reason. It must be remembered when looking upon such objects with eyes from a modern world that the clothing this idol wears is far removed from the tribe in which created it. It is not only unusual, but eerily reminiscent of our own modern spacesuits. What's more, and perhaps the most damning evidence, is his space helmet, a device that would have been crucial for communication with a being from an entirely different atmosphere. What was the Scythian spaceman? What does it represent? Did the Eurasian nomads actually encounter an ancient astronaut? We find the existence of such artifacts highly compelling. There are many mysteries left here upon our planet yet to be unraveled, many truths from the past and facts within our future left to be uncovered. Space, however, the final frontier, is a place of literal infinite mystery, many more than one could ever explore, Yet the following we found particularly compelling. Discovered by the James Webb Telescope, under development from 1996 until its successful launch into space on Christmas Day 2021. Initially estimated to cost $500 million. However, having met many obstacles along the way and almost being canceled altogether, this so-called fiscal black hole had a final figure closer to $10 billion. Yet the most expensive flat pack ever made by man was a complete success upon launch, and as mentioned, has spotted something which our channel finds of particular interest. As if a sign from the gods spotted many light years away. Yet, to be fully identified, there are, however, theories as to what it could be. Quote, "It is currently thought to either be two galaxies colliding or a single galaxy of this unique shape by coincidence, with the interaction having caused its shape," a representative of the Space Telescope Science Institute told Space.com. Quote, "This may be the first time we've ever seen this particular type of object. Additional follow-ups would be required to figure out what it is with any certainty. It could be a single galaxy with an odd shape, but a merger seems like a more suitable fit," said Matt Kaplan, an assistant professor of physics at Illinois State University. He continued, "The two distinct features could easily be merging galaxies, with the upper part of the question mark being part of a larger galaxy which is getting tidally disrupted. Given the color of some of the surrounding background galaxies, this does not seem like the worst explanation. Despite how chaotic mergers are, double-lobed objects with curvy tails extending away from them are very typical." End quote. Was this fiery question mark created via a chaotic intergalactic collision? Or is it possibly a message from the gods to our community? Its true cause may for now remain a mystery, yet it is one within an infinite reality, which we find highly compelling.
Could there be an ancient intelligence secretly studying our planet? There are many theories surrounding this hypothesis. Ancient objects located in our skies, fixed within a low Earth orbit, quietly monitoring our planet. Known as the Black Knight, this purported Stone Age satellite is located in a near-fixed polar orbit. It has been attempted to be discredited on a number of occasions, with NASA itself dismissing the object as a lost piece of space debris, yet the location of its orbit, its apparent fixed stationary position, and indeed its murky backstory, dating back as far as 1899, would disagree. The first popular mention of the satellite's existence dating back to the exploration of natural extraterrestrial repeating sources, heard by Nikola Tesla during his 1899 radio experiments, although its mysterious emissions were also reportedly heard during the observation of long-delayed echoes by amateur radio operator Jürgen Hals in Oslo in 1928, all later dismissed as pulsars. Yet in 1954, researcher Donald Keyhoe told newspapers that the United States Air Force had reportedly located it along with another satellite orbiting the Moon. However, at that time, no country had the technology to launch such a satellite. In 1973, Scottish author Duncan Lunan analyzed the long-delayed radio echoes received by Hals and others and concluded that they originated from a 13,000-year-old alien probe located in an orbit around the Earth's moon. He suggested that the probe may have originated from a planet located in the solar system of the star Epsilon Boötis. Lunan would predictably later retract his publicly made conclusions, saying that he had made outright errors and that his methods had been, quote, unscientific. And in 1998, during the STS-88 mission, we would finally catch a glimpse of this elusive object, one reported as existing for over a century, yet continually denied. Now that its existence was backed up by photographic evidence, the storyline as to its origins changed. These original aforementioned reports are now discredited as never existing. And in its place, the photographs are of a thermal blanket. This explanation now allowing for the object to be classified as man-made, and indeed of human origins. The chronology of this storyline shows a mysterious unknown object, one emitting radio bursts subsequently dated as many thousands of years old, turning to actual reports of its existence and location being made via radar and other detective practices, to it thusly being photographed. Ultimately, these original reports disbanded in favor of it being a space blanket, one lost during a manned space mission. This story shares all the hallmarks of a cover-up. A blanket which somehow found its way into a fixed near-polar orbit, something which we still find difficult to achieve using rockets. Why would there be reports of ancient signals coming from this object? Why would they be dated to over 13,000 years old? Why are there initial reports of 2 satellites? Could the second be the Crystal Castle previously covered? Did this craft communicate an ancient star map, maybe a celestial precession, allowing accurate dating of the messages? Eventually, NASA would make the page which hosted the pictures inoperable, further stoking the flames of a conspiracy. Perhaps they realized they couldn't discredit the object's existence any longer. What is the Black Knight? Is it really a piece of space debris? Or perhaps something far more profound? We find its existence highly compelling.